Hi, everyone, and welcome to our second series of how the new Cipd map is going to stimulate the HR profession of the world. And we have Mariam El Ghandour, who's a senior HR professional in the region with great amount of experience, not only in terms of delivering great knowledge, but also practically orienting those HR practitioners to focus on how HR can be high impact. Now, Mariam, we've seen that the professional map has changed in the last year, and the focus on the new professional map is all about principle-led, evidence-based, and outcomes-driven. So HR is moving from just being a policy police or a policy and process-oriented function to a more high-impact function across the organization. And I think the main issue here is coming through also in HR trying to connect the dots in terms of seeing the real value that the people profession can deliver to organizations' competitiveness. So my first question is connected to all that experience, all that great stimulations that you have provided across the board in the region. What are the 5 reasons that you think that people should choose a career in the people profession?
Well, thank you, first of all, Failan, for hosting me for this, and very happy to be here with you. I think you said it yourself. The success of any organization really today depends on its most valuable asset, on the people in the organization. And I think that the first reason why I would choose a people profession is to be passionate about the people, is to be loving the fact that we are supporting people in the workplace. So I think that this would be my first reason to drive that and champion that better work and working lives, of course. I think that it's important to understand that the people profession is about supporting people in the workplace, and this is something that we have to be happy to do. We need to support their career development. We need to support healthier environments. We need to support a work environment where people feel valued, when people love their jobs, where people are capable and feel and have that autonomy of making decisions and having that accountability and feeling that they are an important asset to the organization. And it's our role to actually support people to become those engaged workforce that we are looking for. I think also another reason is support for the organization. And I think that one of the important things that we do is we build and we enable talent inside the organization. We close capability gaps. We make sure that we have those talent pools that will enable the organization to achieve their strategic objectives. And it's one of the key pillars to support the organization in achieving the key objective is to have those capable people in the organization. Of course, working in the people profession have other, let's say, privileges. And I think that one of the best privileges that I personally love is that the ability to work anywhere. I think you can contribute to any sector. I think you can contribute anywhere, from anywhere in the world. I think you can work and go to a sector where you are passionate about. I think you can use any field, any geographical location. It gives you a great freedom to be a part of a business you love, to work for a brand you admire, or even sometimes working for an NGO where you serve a cause that you believe in. And I think that this is really something, the flexibility, because HR is really, or the people profession is really very transferable skills. And I think that you need another reason why. Let me give you the best reason. The one that I personally like a lot is that every day is so different. You never, ever, ever get bored with a day. You work in very fast-paced environments. You work in very dynamic organizations. The people profession is very rich, and every day there is something new happening. The priorities continues to shift. There is an opportunity also to really make a difference in those organizations, and there is an opportunity to learn something new. You can be a specialist, you can be a generalist, you can work on a strategic level, you can work on an operational level, you can work on a tactical level. So I think the variety of roles that the people profession holds is really an amazing opportunity for anybody who would like to join that field.
Great. I mean, you put it very correctly. So it's CIPD's purpose is all about just not improving work, but also improving work lives. And I think you brought in a very important element of happiness. And I think 10th of October is all about mental health. And I think the CIPD is driving towards building greater, mental health, well-being across organizations. And I think including some of those modules that they're bringing in with the new professional MAC, like well-being and diversity, is all about ensuring that you have a sustainable workforce who are happy, who are highly engaged. I think those 5 reasons are amazing. It talks about mobility, you talked about your career progression, you talked about as an enabler to organizations' DNA. I think we understand the importance of people as part of their DNA to be able to change those, how the organization move forward. And importantly, also about the levels of engagement. Most companies are moving towards output-based companies as opposed to input-based companies. And this is where the next level of advantage lies. Now, coming back to the point in terms of the people profession, there are many qualifications available. And I think you correctly mentioned about mobility, working anywhere, working in any sector, being able to deliver value across the board. And when I look at qualifications, I see that there's so many qualifications in HR available globally. So if I would put you on the spot and say, why should you, or why would anybody want to select a CIPD qualification specifically? Because we both come from the CIPD background. We understand greater value that has been delivered, not only to us, but also to the organizations and the teams we work in. So what are your 3 things in your mind that you think that they should choose the CIPD as a qualification to future focus themselves in this new work from home, flexible working environment that we're talking about?
Well, I think that we need to start by thinking, what does CIPD provide and why do we really think it's a great qualification? And I think that starting by the purpose of CIPD of championing better work and working lives. If you think about it, how are we going to do that? We, as you said at the beginning, we need to be evidence-based, principle-led, and outcome-driven, right? And the reason why I actually believe so much in the value added of this qualification is because it's all about delivering that value, that added value in the workplace. It's all about transferring the knowledge and the learning back in the workplace. It's all about, it's not important only what you know. It's about also, how can you really apply this? So we say there is no best practice. There is a good practice. So what can you take from what you have learned and how can you apply this to the workplace? How can you actually take a business model that you have studied during your CIPD and then go to the workplace? How can I integrate business model? Would it help me? Is it the best one for me? Is this the best one for the organization? Is this going to support the organization or driving the organization forward? I think the contribution in the discussion in the classroom is amazing. And I think that the ability to be part of a community of practice, to communicate with people who have different experiences, work in different sectors, have tried different things, and have tried different ways of managing performance or developing a total reward policy that actually works, or having an employee experience that really makes a difference. I think this is what we are looking for, that exposure to the academic background of learning about what HR really stands for, and then being able to transfer that to the workplace. So really, it's about creating that impact and that added value to the organization. And I think we still need a lot of work to do that. How can we transfer the learning? How can we do that in our organization? The exposure is just great. Another reason why I think that, apart from the fact that you benefit as a student from the whole learning experience, it's a long program. It's a long program. It has a lot of hard work. It makes you read. It makes you understand. It makes you research, and it makes you really reflect on yourself as an HR professional. And it makes you reflect on the organization as well, and to see what works. But I think another reason why is that CIPD itself is a very the organization spends a lot of time researching, trying to make that added value in the region and worldwide. And I think that the sources that we find on CIPD as website, as students, or even as people professionals who, I often go to the website to consult the website about lots of things. So that access is amazing. The access to 150,000 members across the world, and I think more than 3,000 or 4,000 members across the region, is something that also gives me that exposure and gives me that being part of that community of practice, so I can really benefit my organization.
Great. So, I mean, it's a gold standard qualification. There's no doubt about it. I just want to get it out of you.
Absolutely.
And also it provides your passport to success. So it's a mobility or your passport to practice HR globally. And I think you made an important point about thought leadership and knowledge, where CIPD is investing quite a bit to see how close they can get to making the change. I remember when I worked as senior brand manager of Smithland Beach and Glaxo, the CEO of the company used to say that it's not only about practicing, but it's also about scoring. And you made a valid point about evidence-based. Coming through that is about, when we talk about biasness, when we talk about meaningful performance management systems, moving out of those traditional policing type of environments to making people more comfortable so that they can contribute and be greatly innovative. So I think, yeah, you're right in terms of CIPD. That's been underscored by what they want to do in the future. I'm coming to your home territory now, which you have really deep insights. So, I mean, when we talk about the Middle East, I think some of those companies would be focusing on a very functional HR, platform, or the focus of HR is just functional. You talked about employee experience as well, which is, you can't take a cookie cutter approach to interventions or performance management or, rewards and compensation or whatever based on a flat approach. But, the Middle East has unique challenges in the context of some of those countries being in somewhat a matured stage of what in the people profession, whereas most of them would, be looking at HR from a very functional perspective. So what are your insights on this, Mariam? You've been working with many people professionals in the region. And what are the unique challenges you think in the Middle East for the, the people profession relating or connected to the professional map? So, when we're talking about principle-led, is HR primarily policy-based? We do not make certain decisions based on evidence, based on gut feel. There are no analytics involved. Information is not connected, and importantly, nobody's worried about the outcome. So you are this ostrich, ostrich in the sand, head in the sand type of mentality, which HR is the people profession is moving towards. So what are your insights around the Middle East connected to the professional map?
Okay, so I think the first thing we need to understand is we are like any other region facing our own challenges, of course, but I think that a global challenge, whether in the Middle East or not, your talent attraction is really a challenge, is a very big challenge right now, attracting top talent and being able to do that. There is definitely a shortage in the labor market in the local expertise, people with the local expertise. Today, after the pandemic, we're finding it extremely difficult to get with the rising need of AI, of technology, of digital skills, the requirements of digital skills inside the organization, we're finding more and more difficult. And we're not really able to just say, okay, we're going to think globally and just go and move to global markets to attract people. In some cases that would work, but in our case, we're still focused on nationalization. We still want the national, local, expert talent that has the technical skills that we want. And this is one of the biggest challenges. We don't have enough nationals with technical expertise. We don't have enough people with the local expertise. We have shortage in the digital skills. And even though we have very loose markets in certain professions, but in particularly in organizations that require that technical expertise, we're still finding it very, very challenging. that means that organizations need to start working on their employee value proposition, on enhancing their employer branding, and it means also that we need to start focusing on building rather than just buying. We can't do the buying anymore. It's not going to be as feasible as it used to be for us in the future, because to guarantee that future sustainability, I need to have that local expertise within my organization, and I need to have those nationals managing the organization. It's important. It's important for the organization. It's important for the economies as well. So in the profession map, of course, the profession map gives you a lot of things that you can work on, starting with how to build the employee experience that you want from the minute that the employee joins the organization, the onboarding of young employees. Since we are going to build, we need to focus on those juniors joining the organization, the youth, the fresh graduates, and how can we create onboarding programs that really matter and makes an impact for them to retain them in the organization. Retention is becoming a challenge, of course, because it's becoming a very competitive market. Organizations are growing, growth are predicted. I was reading the other day that the IFM predicted a 5.2% growth this year, so of business growth this year. So we're still growing, we still need talent, and we have to build. So in the profession map, there are areas, knowledge and expertise knowledge of learning and development, of how to value people, of creating that employee experience, of managing the well-being of employees, the flexibility of the diversity and inclusion of employees, apart from, of course, the knowledge, the expertise, the areas of expertise in related to the people profession, learning how to draft those policies, learning how to align your strategies with HR, which right now is really one of the top challenges that we're facing right now, is to align the strategies with organizational strategies.
Absolutely.
We're not there yet.
Absolutely. So I think, what I'm taking out of it is that HR now cannot be this bolt on, but HR has to be built in to that organization's fabric of, driving the overall organization strategy, stimulating that in the perspective of making your organization more competitive in the marketplace. And
I think the alignment, Failan, is very important, because we're not only looking at aligning. I think that we're looking at two types of alignment that are really required over here. Is that the first one is to align the HR to the organization strategies, and sometimes, in some cases, to even have a strategy to start with. In some cases, we're still not there. And in other ways also, we need to align the areas of HR itself. You can see that we have very strong performance management systems. We have very strong reward policies. We have very strong L&D and talent management strategies, but they're not aligned together. They're just not fitting in together. So they work somehow in silos. And then we don't get that synergy that we want between those parts, and then we lose employees based on that. So we're not getting that impact that we want, and we need to definitely do that.
Yeah, I think you answered a lot of the questions in relation to the Middle East, and also in relation to the few things that you would want to do if I've given you the level of decision making that you want to make. To make organizations more competent. I'm going to put you on the spot now, and so we have the great place to work, scorecard of companies where it makes it a great place to work. But there is also a situation of the bad places to work or the worst places to work scorecard. I'm not at liberty to mention some of those companies, but I think you talked about employee branding, you talked about employee value proposition. You talked about levels of engagement, happiness, innovation. And I think with the pandemic, you're working from home, they've realized that because of this face-to-face, collaboration and interaction, there is an issue with innovation as well. So my question to you is, what are the three things that makes a company a bad place to work?
Oh. A good question, actually, Failan. I think where I don't have a voice, and I think that this is the first thing I would say, where I'm not involved, where I can't see as an employee how I am contributing to the growth and the success of my organization. And I think that this is the first thing. you're not hearing me. I'm not here. I'm invisible for the organization. I'm not contributing, even though I am contributing, but you're not telling me how. You're not giving me that transparency to show me how my effort and all this tiredness that I feel at the end of the day is really paying off by making you as an organization successful. So, and I think that this is the first thing that I would say would make it a very bad place to work, the employee voice. I think the second thing I would point out is not having a mechanism of autonomy and feedback. So basically, if I go and work in an organization where the job itself is designed in a way that does not give me that sense of autonomy and accountability to do my job. So the leadership right now in the Middle East is a very, very big challenge that we're facing. It's one of the top challenges that the Middle East is facing. We need leaders, we need transformational leaders, we need talent pools of leaders. And I think that this is affecting organizations a lot. So employees in the organization feel micromanaged somehow. Decision-making is not delegated. Structures are becoming extremely long. So I'm not able to make decisions. I'm not able to be accountable for my job. And therefore, I'm not able to be engaged or motivated about that job. And I'm not in charge of any results. The results are yours as a manager who micromanage me, but otherwise the results are not mine. I think that this is probably going to be the second worst thing to make it a bad place to work.
Yeah.
And what would be the third thing, in my opinion, for an employee? I think operationally, when our processes, I think that when there is HR and then there is the rest of the world, this is a very bad place to work. I think that this is not it doesn't work. We need to be aligned. We need to be in synchrony with the organization. It doesn't give the employee the right environment they want.
Absolutely. So anybody wanting to write a book around it can speak to Mariam as well. So I'm just trying to put it into perspective. The first thing is transactional leadership. I think you made a very, very valid point about transformational leadership and transactional leadership in the context of, looking at, transactional leaders are more focused on you give me 1 rupee, I'll give you 1 rupee or 1 dirham. And then your whole focus is around transactions, which is, I think, a red zone for many companies, a red zone for attracting new talent. That's a fantastic point of view. The ghost of performance management. I think that's what, is the second main area that you were talking about with all what you've been saying is about, you don't know where you contribute. You don't know how you contribute. You don't know, what's your impact across the organization in that context.
Oh.
And your third area is, of course, really fantastic. It's about silos, you cannot, it's useless having a secure cabin in a sinking ship. So when organizations work in silos, you have IT, you have marketing, you have HR, and if they are not aligned and, they do not work towards a common purpose, then you have it as being a bad place to work as well. So, Mariam, fantastic insights. I'm sure a lot of people are going to gain great, when they see you delivering in the classroom, your thoughts and, your level of innovation. Thank you so much for sharing your great insights with us. And we'll hope to see you soon. Masalama.
Thank you so much, Failan. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.